Hey there, this is Cole. Just popping in at the start with a quick heads up. About 39 minutes or so, Gary's voice gets a little bit robot-y. It's still mostly fine, but just letting you know we know about it and asking for your patience. We fixed the issue afterwards. Shouldn't be a problem. Helper Gary shouldn't happen again, and if he does, we will strike him down with immeasurable fury. Okay.
Orb presents this season 6 wrap-up.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And we're at the end.
It was a New York season. A New York minute, but 8 episodes. Or, 9 with a special.
Yeah, it was a New York 240 minutes or so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we're talking about the bonus features. We're talking about kind of our final thoughts on season 6. We're reading your responses to it, doing first and worst, and basically just bridging the gap before we start the final season.
I know. It's hard to believe we're already here.
Yeah. Yeah, the Venture Brothers. It's probably time for us to start thinking about what we might do after this.
Probably.
But I don't know.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I don't know.
I was kind of this way when we decided to end Monster in My Podcast, too. We'll figure something out.
Something will pop up. It would be cool if the movie came out.
I know, right?
Then, but it won't.
No. I mean, but there would probably be a preview, and the show's going to end in July, so.
Yeah. Yep. That's okay. The current plans are to, I think, you and I have talked about this, but just in case we had talked about it since my memory, feel free to correct me, are to, finish out season 7, move on to whatever we're going to do next, and then just do a special for the movie.
Yeah, that makes the most sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so it's real weird to see the end. Like we're not there yet. We still got, a couple months, but not a whole lot left.
Yeah.
Weird feeling.
Yeah,
and we're going to be off book, so we're going to lose a lot of valuable insight. Stuck with just the commentaries.
Yeah,
which are not valuable insight.
Yeah, usually a lot. I mean, it's good to listen to, right? Gives you some insight into the boys themselves. But as far as production details, little more scant than I would enjoy.
Yeah. No. So let's get into these special features.
Let's do
that we have on this DVD.
Yeah.
It's kind of a bad crop. I think
a little bit.
A lot of one extra lines. It just shows the scene and they cut out like one line. The only bit I like in this is the deleted scene. That's like the Rickroll bit.
It's really good.
It's funny. That should have stayed in. The rest of the stuff, good to be cut.
Yeah.
In a general sense.
But you think that the Rickroll bit is just so it's from Red Means Stop, and it's at the council meeting. You think that it's just Red Mantle telling Dragoon this anecdote about somebody doing something annoying to him online, but he's actually introducing it as a motion to ban the practice of Rickrolling.
I love it.
In guild communications, and the room is split.
Yeah, the room is split, and guild communications is these 7 people or whatever.
Something.
Very, very cute. And also going to call out a little dirty pool on the DVD because it says over an hour of special features.
Yeah.
But it includes Gargantua too.
No.
In that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a little special features. Subtitles.
Special features like the episode,
Yeah.
What's a little bit better, so we start out the special features. There is a season 5 recap. From the perspective of Henchman 21.
Yeah.
This is fun and cute, I think. It's kind of low. It's low on jokes or anything. It's just a straight recap.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's cute.
Yeah. It serves its purpose pretty well. And I think actually maybe does a little bit better of a job of telling season 5 story than season 5 does.
It really condenses it down.
Yeah.
Pretty well. There's a little bit of, just to stand on the soapbox I stand on, it has Henchman 21 being like, yeah, I'm back with the Monarch.
Yeah.
Always a henchman. But anyway, this stuff happens still. It doesn't really still doesn't justify those two things to me.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Yeah. The other feature, which is more of just like an interesting thing than than I think valuable, is they apparently commissioned some artists to do interstitial ID tags for Adult Swim, kind of for the commercial breaks or, as lead-ins to the show. And they're done kind of in various like 60s and 70s pop art styles. These are real cool. I think there's like 6 of them, but they're all, 10 seconds long.
Yeah. They're neat. Like, it would be cool to have posters of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I love the Vertigo one where it's Rusty's head in the center, but it's like flipping through like various traumatic things. Like there's him swallowing JJ in the womb. There's, clone Dean. Dr. Mrs. the Monarch is walking away, but she turns around and has the Monarch's face. Just like a real like sweaty depiction of Rusty's, hang-ups.
Yeah, the zoom in one is really good too. Mm-hmm. That like does the thing where it just keeps zooming in, and as you get further into different details, like we keep passing through the pane of the screen. They're really neat. I'm glad that they're on the DVD, because this is the kind of ephemeral stuff that gets lost. The real creative work goes into.
Yeah, it would have just aired on Adult Swim and been gone forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Moving on to deleted scenes. Gargantua 2, I think, suffers the most from these, because I think 2 of these jokes are gross.
Yeah.
They begin, there's a little bit of Amber asking Brock if he ever thinks about settling down, and him starring into like, you're a nice girl, but we both agreed that this was just going to be for fun. And it's like, I didn't need this specific cliche to be played out. Like the Amber Brock stuff never really went anywhere, and I'm okay with it. And I'm kind of glad they quietly swept it under the rug.
Yeah. For a better thing,
Yeah, much better.
And then both gross and outdated. The gag that they cut with the Paris Hilton stand-in, drunk in the casino, kind of making demands and stuff. And then who is it? Is it Radical Left who like gets her and puts a knife to her throat and says, "Say one more word, I will make you famous for a very different gaping orifice."
Yeah. Gaping orifice is a pretty gross reference to a pussy.
Yeah.
Like gaping, that sucks all the romance and and eroticism out of that incredibly awesome zone.
So.
But man, what the David Hasselhoff thing? And stuff. These guys are like 10 years in the past. At this point, making fun of Paris Hilton was like a 2002 thing.
Yeah, and now like and a recent thing when she was going and like pushing NFTs, but like not for this. Like this sucks.
Yeah, really weird.
Yeah, I'm glad they cut it. It was good judgment to cut it.
Yeah. More inoffensive, but also I didn't think has a whole lot of jokes to it. More of the triad fighting fires. There. They talked about this. We talked about it in the episode how they originally planned it, because they talked about it in the commentary in the book. But having the Disney Sorcerer Apprentice stuff, the brooms carrying buckets,
that's cute. Yeah,
and stuff. I like the fireman being freaked out by it. That's the only bit I like, because like the broom walks up to you, bum, 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 bum. Like that'd be really scary and weird.
Yeah,
man. Also, I never really thought about it, but how many fucking brooms does Mickey own?
Well,
at that point,
I mean, is it still technically one? Is there conservation of mass going on?
Oh, well, because he splits it into multiple brooms.
Yeah, he has one broom, and then he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this walk around," and then the broom gets a little big for its britches. Mickey starts cutting it in half, and then each half turns into its own thing. And as he keeps cutting it in half, it keeps on multiplying, but getting smaller and causing more chaos.
I forgot about that. In my mind, he just summoned. Like, we'll take our 70 brooms that we have to start doing this.
You just forgot the whole point of the animated short.
Yeah, I don't particularly care for old Disney shorts. The point. Yes, the trenchant like, commentary that.
No, I'm not calling it trenchant commentary. It's just like the whole thing.
I mean, I know magic gets away from him.
Yeah,
is the idea, but it's also been parodied so many times I don't remember it. Like I get it mixed up with the Itchy and Scratchy.
Oh yeah,
parody of it and stuff, and I don't know. I don't
Pinocchio.
I don't like old Disney.
Yeah. Well,
I love Pinocchio. Now Pinocchio, you will be a good boy. Anything that makes fun of Geppetto's absolutely ridiculous pizza accent, like like talking like the guy on the cover of a box of pizza. I love it.
I also think it's cute when Orpheus is using his psychic powers as he's still in there and rushes in. He's going to save Helper, but Helper is the one who saved him because Orpheus passed out. And that's cute.
What's real weird is that in the actual episode, he says like he's still in there. And then in the button, they reveal that he got Mr. Ricci.
Yes.
So like they changed, what he did. They just kind of had hand waved Helper getting out.
Yeah. Maybe No-Go has fun stuff, but it's almost entirely with Robobo for me.
Yeah.
just like, okay, we got to get in. They brought Robobo with them, so he starts sawing through St. Cloud's front gate with his the buzzsaw on his foot. And like, okay, well, it will take an hour.
and that's what makes Pete just decide, like, can you just come capture us? Like, that's cute, and I love Robobo.
Yeah, they denied us more Robobo.
You get the audio from Hatred's tour guide tape that's playing when Wide Whale shows up. There's nothing really to it, though.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. The weird thing that I was hearing is hearing Hatred's voice in isolation. I could hear a lot more Hank in it than I usually
can
hear. I was like, oh yeah, that is Chris McCullough. Like,
and
100%.
it's one of those things where like there are a number of characters. I hear a ton of Hank in Augustus St. Cloud. Augustus St. Cloud sounds like Hank doing like a stuck up snob voice to me.
Yeah. Kind of fun, of interest to
it's like a completionist thing. Yeah.
There's an alternate ending to Rapacity in Blue, where they pull Orangutan out of the hole. And Brock is coming back after going to Wariana under the influence of the God Ghasts. And closes the loop on the advice about women.
Yeah.
He says, Hank, if you're still looking for advice about women, tell the truth. And if they mention anything about an invisible whip, try to grab it first.
Yeah.
Applying their weird whip sex stuff, but just complete, and it is actually good advice, even though it came about in the weirdest possible way.
Yeah. I think I like that better than him waking up at the beginning of the next episode with the riding crop butt plug thing
in his butthole.
Yeah. I think I like this because it ties into Brock's storyline with Hank more. That and joke about butt play.
Yeah,
it's weird.
Yeah, it's not a weird joke about butt play, even though it does have the like, are you bleeding? Well, no, maybe. And then
that was pretty good. Okay,
I like that a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of like outdated jokes, in Tanks for Nothing, the next one, we have Dean actually visiting Uncle Hatred in the hospital with the flowers, and Brown Widow is there as well, which I kind of like the idea, but it's like a 2-minute long Dean is actually gay with Brown Widow misunderstanding.
Yeah, it is real classic sitcom tired kind of joke where it is kind of just very tortured dialogue on Dean and Jared's part. Nobody would phrase things this way, but it's them being oblivious to the way that Hatred is hearing it, right? Like, I'm just sorry it took you so long to come out. And it's like, I would have come out, but Jared here wasn't ready yet. He was like sleeping in late or something like that.
It was I need to meet you.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I met this guy.
Yeah.
It's like literally like he found the right one. It's very explicit. And then when they leave, Brown Widow's there and Dean mounts up on his back in a way that is like explicitly the ambiguously gay duo from those old Saturday Night Live things. And like, man, that kind of thing is aged really badly. Like I can do a double entendre, just fine.
Yeah.
And nobody's hateful. Like it's like Hatred just like, I support you, buddy. And I like Hatred being a solid uncle. It just goes on for too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's old. It's,
Yeah.
There have been much better instances of Dean very innocently in his enthusiastic boy voice saying things that he doesn't understand. Yeah.
Yeah. Your pussy must hate me.
Yeah.
Your what is it? Your gaping orifice must hate me.
Well then.
But yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
It's okay. I like Brown Widow. Just in general.
Yeah. It Happening One Night has some fine stuff. There's exposition of Dr. Mrs. the Monarch showing the Monarch evidence that she found. This is more, I'm glad they cut this because it's just exposition. We know all of this information. It is just it is just a chance for the Monarch to see that she has his picture as the Blue Morpho. But it's, that's fine.
More stuff with 21 being stuck.
Yes.
Underground too. Like, don't love that. Again, sitcom-y, like when it gets real Three's Company this season.
Yeah.
Faring better is more Brock and Rocco stuff. Good pairing. Funny pairing.
Yeah, it's when they're in the car and Rocco's doing the whole did they unfreeze you from 1979? And Brock starts going into this kind of monologue about like, we're never going to be partners. I work alone, blah, blah, blah. And Rocco says, speaking in 1979, you're doing 48 hours, like verbatim.
Yeah,
which is real good. I'd like any poll from 48 hours. That is a dated fucking reference right there.
I haven't thought about 48 hours in a long time. And then there's a little bit with Rusty being abandoned while being photographed by Wes Warhammer.
Yeah.
And when he looks up to see if Wes is still there, instead of him just leaving, Ultraviolent comes in and starts freaking out because she didn't know he was going to be nude.
Yes.
She was like, I would do this, but not, I was told basically like I didn't agree to do any sex or nudity.
Yes.
For this film.
Yeah. I liked it because I wanted anything more with Wes Warhammer's crew. Like anything with the Doom Factory would have been great, but
yeah. Love the Doom Factory. Yeah. And then again, we allude to it. The best one is the alternate opening to Red Means Stop with Red Mantle explaining being rickrolled and just being delighted. And then they do that motion to get rid of it. And then at one point at the end, they're talking about getting the Blue Morpho. And I was like, shall we send him a rickroll? As if that's going to get him. He's just very delighted.
That'll show him.
That'll show him. It's very sweet. You can do that kind of outdated stuff with those old men.
Oh yeah. Just put it in the voice of the right character, right? My favorite bit is Dr. Z, who is pro, let's just have the chaos magic of the Rickroll out there. The song is a feel good, snappy pick me up, and I welcome it.
Yep. Very cute.
Which is why would any? I kind of agree. I think Together Forever is a better song, but why would anybody be that upset if they just get to hear? If they just get to hear
a little bit of Never Give You Up.
Never Give You Up. Come on.
Yeah, not a bad song.
Not a bad song at all.
Moving into listener responses for this will be a shorter episode because it's a season 6 wrap up episode. These tend to be little breaks. Elliot says, this show is great and really gives better insight into the fantastic show, especially if you're like me and in the UK where we can't get the DVDs. Season 6 is a great series of the show that suffers from one thing and one thing only, a lack of Dr. Byron Orpheus and the Order of the Triad. We miss them. But in general, the style parodies and reboot after Gargantua 2 really work for me. Small aside, have you watched Kim Possible as adults? It's got a very Venture Brothers vibe with over-the-top villains, organized heroism, and a stupid amount of super scientist. Dr. Draken and Kim's father definitely work alongside Dr. Venture and JJ. It's worth reappraising if you haven't seen it, particularly the Adam West episode and the one with Shigo's backstory. Everything I've ever known about Kim Possible, I just learned from this response. I knew nothing about Kim Possible except for the name.
Yeah. So this was well after my time when I was watching, I would not have been watching never had the Disney Channel actually, and wouldn't have been watching it in the early 2000s. Sorry. Thank you for thinking we're younger.
Yeah. No. We're old.
Yeah.
I'm super old, and Cole's also, he's older and younger. It's weird.
There's lore. There's lore. It's fine.
He's a sideways Benjamin Button. I also missed the Triad.
Yes, agreed. And I'm happy that we're going to get them back in the Morphic trilogy.
Yeah. And hopefully, I'm sure they'll get some stuff in the movie. I can't imagine them not giving them a farewell.
I know, right? They're, I mean, I'm not going to call them major characters, but they factor in. They've had focus episodes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rose says, I really dislike how we never get any type of resolution for the Monarch being an asshole husband to Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch all season. In theory, these two characters are deeply in love, and prior seasons have done some legwork to make me believe it. But this season makes me wonder why, after the events of the Morphic trilogy, Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch is still with the Monarch. I'm not expecting a rehash of their relationship troubles from season 2 and 3, but some resolution to show her react to learning the Monarch was the Blue Morpho would be nice. Seems like a waste to round down this cool character they made, especially because she's the only consistent female character across all seasons of the show.
Agreed.
I was thinking about this. This is a point that came to me when I was watching Red Mean Stop, and I should have brought it up during the episode. But when the Monarch is kind of elbowing at 21, saying, "Oh my gosh, look at Red Death. He's like 80, and he has this, just gorgeous model of a wife." It's like, hey, the Monarch, have you looked at your wife? Like, you've been ignoring and being an asshole too. Come on.
Not only do you say that as the viewer, who else would say that? Fucking 21.
Uh-huh.
Who spent an entire season basically
pining
in that position.
for her.
You don't deserve her. She is a way better partner than the Monarch is. And in revisiting the show, this is these last couple seasons, it's only the second time I watched them. But the first 5 seasons, this is my third or fourth time watching them. And doing this, the Monarch's inability to really change.
Yeah.
And how they made the Monarch I hate Dr. Venture. And that's it. They were going somewhere with it, with them finding out they're related at the end of season 7. But boy, is it not a burn.
Yeah.
He's the most static character in the show. A show that is largely defined by it having the cadence and semiotics of a show where everything resets, but everything doesn't, except the Monarch.
Yeah.
There are a couple new status quos will happen, but the Monarch as a character never changes, never grows. He makes feints towards it, but he never actually gets there.
Yeah.
And it's a huge bummer.
It is.
It's a really big bummer. Contrast this season, everything that happens this season with Dr. and Mrs. the Monarch and the Monarch with Gargantua 2, where she's bleeding out on the boat, moving heaven and earth to save her husband from this thing that's going to blow up. It's such a wonderful, dedicated expression of love. And he's up in the fucking spaceship playing 20 Questions.
Yes.
He's such a garbage man. He's such a piece of shit.
He never said he was a role model.
Yeah, well, I mean that's true. It's the more you look at the Monarch, the harder it is to really like him as a character.
Yeah, and
in the show.
They could have played with that. They could have played with the fact that he doesn't change. I think maybe there is an attempt to do that with him. Just all the lines about oh, I was just born to hate, stuff like that. But that isn't necessarily. I mean, it's just kind of inert. It's like a garbage. It's like a garbage block in a dropping block puzzle game. You just have to work around it. Yep.
Just everybody regressing to their default states, but not everybody. Just the Monarch and 21. Bummer.
Yeah.
So 100% agreed. I think, and the fact that they don't really do that in season 7 either. I have a little sympathy for them because they have a lot of stuff to do.
Yes.
They've set up so many plates spinning. I get why they're okay, well, this season is about this. It can't be about this and that. I kind of get it, but it's also a corner that I feel they painted themselves into. It's not like there weren't filler episodes in seasons 4 and 5 that could have done some of this work to set up a different status quo.
Yeah.
And you could even do it within season 6. Instead of him going through this Blue Morpho stuff and just being it just being another means to his Omni end, of arching Dr. Venture, what if he decided he liked this vigilante shit? What if he went through a similar arc to what 21 went through?
Yeah.
Hey, this shit's dumb.
Yeah.
What is my goal here? This guy is pathetic. He feints towards that. He never gets there though.
Yeah.
And it is a huge bummer.
And what if after 21 decides, oh, I need to hench. And then he comes back and suddenly, the Monarch has his own identity crisis. Right. And suddenly, he's being
Their
put
roles
into,
are reversed.
Yeah.
He has to be the steady one.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it kind of writes itself. Like, it feels like there are a lot of different ways they could have taken, and I don't want to disparage the boys who are great writers. Like, they were probably going somewhere with it.
Yeah,
and again, lots of places to spin, but
we're absolutely Monday morning quarterbacking here. But you know,
it
it'll
does
happen.
Make a close read a little bit tricky.
Yeah.
Eli says, fun fact, Serena is played by Kristen Milotti, who, among other things, is known for playing the mother from How I Met Your Mother. Fun fact part 2, she does not sound like Serena in any of the other things she's in. Good voice work, Kristen. 2, per a joke in this Orb episode, imagine a Disco Elysium mod in which all of your skills were Venture Brothers characters. Brock, kill him. Your knife is right there. Hank. Oh, yeah, we can go back and forth.
Yeah. Hank. No, just tell him this is all part of the case.
What case?
There's no case he has. There is no case. He has no idea what he's talking about. This is Billy. Just back down and figure out what they know about thermodynamics.
Pete, don't listen to that nerd. Figure out where they keep the blow.
Rusty. Oh my God. What am I doing here with all of you?
Dean. But what's really important is do they know where Scamp is? That would be rough because there's something I think about whenever I think about, something like this, like Disco. It made me think of Disco Elysium, or Disco Elysium made me think of this. Mm-hmm. There is a not very good late series Mr. Show sketch about a psychologist who wrote a book where he's like, everyone inside their head has a biker, an old lady, a gay man, and a courier. And they show, like, they personify them. They show 4 people and they're on a subway. Mm-hmm. And like, he describes their roles, but they're all basically just supporting each other. Like, it's like the biker wants you to do what you feel, and the old lady backs him up all the way. The courier, he's here to support the old lady. And basically they all just go towards one thing like that.
Yeah.
That's what this reminds me of.
A little bit.
Yeah, making. I mean, these are all different things, but it reminds me of that kind of idea of Herman's headifying.
Yes. Yeah.
Stuff. Or Inside for the Youngs.
Sorry, just translating the reference all the way down.
Yeah, slightly more cultural cachet. Inside than Herman's Head.
A little bit. So, but Herman's Head is older and therefore better than.
Yeah. I don't. I shudder to return to Herman's Head. I remember liking it, but I don't know if I actually liked it.
Never seen an episode of it.
Yardley Smith in a rare non-Lisa role.
No, she doesn't even do non-Lisa roles on The Simpsons.
No. She's like, well, would you? Like, those people, like, they get so much money per episode.
Yeah.
And it's such a cash cow. Like, yeah, the people who do more than one voice in The Simpsons are suckers.
Yes.
Like, you could be Nancy Cartwright and just chill. Not Nancy Cartwright. She does a couple. Julie Klausner, and just chill.
Yeah. Jennifer writes, love the Orb podcast, gentlemen. I'm in the popular Venture Brothers demographic of middle-aged mom who's been watching since 2001. Once streaming it, I now watch Venture Brothers on repeat, doing chores and baking on the weekends, treating it like a radio play because the writing and voice acting are just so damn good. Regarding the last episode of season 5, All This and Gargantua 2, a popular theory has been floating around among fans that there is a joke behind the odd song choice at JJ's funeral. The Crash Test Dummies have a song titled At My Funeral from their album Ghosts That Haunt Me. So if JJ specified in his will that he, quote, he wanted Crash Test Dummies at my funeral played, it stands to reason that Pirate Captain, who knows mostly 90s music, see the Jesus Jones joke from season 2, episode 5, 20 Years to Midnight, thought that JJ meant he wanted the Crash Test Dummies played at his funeral, which could only mean their greatest hit, If Doc and Jackson intentionally did this, which, knowing their history, there's a 99.9 chance they did, I salute those magnificent bastards. This is why I never tire of the show and why I love the podcast. Keep up the great work and go Team Venture.
I love that. Like that's very good.
Yeah.
And seems pretty And then the genius, like little, like very Venture Brothers twist is that it was a fuck up, but everybody likes it.
Oh yeah.
You know, my favorite moment in that is when everybody just starts singing along because they're just feeling it, and it's kind of a great tune.
Yeah. Rusty's like, are we really doing this?
Yep. And it's like, yeah, the answer is yes. Yeah, that's great. That is a great fan theory. I love that. Corey says, "Hey guys, I'm writing in to clarify that the viral 'Don't Tase Me Bro' event was actually a Bush Jr. era thing. I recall this as people played the video incessantly in the dorms my freshman year at Penn State in 2007 when it happened. Also, I recall the distinct sensation of my soul immediately leaving my body my senior year in 2012 when I witnessed a professor make a bombastic 'Don't Tase Me Bro' reference to a packed auditorium, including a pause for laughter.
Oh, no.
And it was met with complete and total silence.
Oh.
When the Venture Brothers made their own 'Don't Tase Me Bro' reference in 2015, I mostly felt confused by this choice. Generally, having grown up with the Venture Brothers, any counterculture reference they made predating the 90s has really worked for me, your Klaus Nomis and William S. Burroughs, as it made me feel like a very smart and cool and special boy for having gotten the reference. However, anytime they made a reference to something I personally lived through, the polar bear from Lost, anything from Game of Thrones, it's mostly landed totally flat for me. I'm curious if you similarly have types of references on the Venture Brothers that do and don't work for you, or if it mostly comes down to delivery and context." That's a good question. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Like, you know, a Sharky's machine definitely seems weirder and more esoteric, you know, than a "Don't Tase Me Bro."
Yeah.
In that, I don't know if that has to do with age or obscurity though. Like how done to death something's been. You don't get, Klaus Nomi is old, but also like nobody's talking about Klaus Nomi. You know, it's old, but it's more importantly pre-internet. So there's not like memes.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I think maybe if we look at season 6, and we kind of see maybe a bit of a corner case, like where possibly there's an overlap on this, which is it happening one night, you know, and the Doom Factory stuff. Like, yes, that is a reference to, you know, older, you know, possibly, you know, like not quite mainstream, but, you know, kind of like Vanguard kind of stuff happening in pop culture, you know, kind of things. Like, yeah, that could be, you know, that could have cachet because it is, you know, from that mid-century period. But also like Jackson got his fascination with, you know, the factory stuff because of like the Andy Warhol boom in the 90s. You know, because it was on the 30 to 20 year nostalgia cycle where there were all those movies made about Andy Warhol, right? So like that technically happened in both of our lifetimes, but for some reason, you know, like that boom, you know, it happened in both of our lifetimes, but like we associate it with the original thing, not the resurgence that is being that is mostly being hearkened to, right?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, coupled with whether it's in the internet era. So something could be like run to death.
Yeah.
Yeah. So even with that, you know, when we get to the 2020s, like Andy Warhol boom, that's inevitably coming up on that nostalgia cycle.
Yeah.
Then we'll see.
Yeah. I like anytime 21 does like a Star Wars thing, I don't necessarily care for it. It feels real welcome to Eltingville to me.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care for it in part just because I don't care for Star Wars, but also because it just, everyone's doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, too much.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it comes by honest. Like I do believe that they're all, you know, these are actually things they all legitimately really love.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like these are actual interests of theirs. So it doesn't come off as forced or pandering, even like the "Don't Tase Me Bro" thing.
Yeah.
Like I believe that they legitimately thought it was funny and that's why they put it in.
Yeah.
But it, you know, just whether it feels kind of like cringy and outdated to me is the difference.
Yeah. Or would it, you know, I can't remember. I didn't watch this when it aired, so I don't have a I don't have a reckon for how it would have felt in the time. You know, I'm watching it 5 years later.
Yeah. Yeah. What does Andrew say?
Andrew says, I'm going to go against the podcast consensus and say that I find season 6 to be a pretty significant step down in quality from season 5, or at least a pivot away from one of the aspects of the show that I most admire. A great joy of the Venture Brothers to me is its willingness to shift its setting and character spotlights on an episode-to-episode basis. This season, there's a sameness to Dr. Venture hanging around Ventec Tower, or Dr. Girlfriend being oblivious to the Monarch's accidental heroism that, while not without its merits, feels a little contrary to the wild diversity of stories and ideas that previous seasons had. Shaking up the status quo by moving to New York and calling some of the supporting cast was a laudable decision, but it's not until the Morphic arc concludes, in the admittedly terrific Rears in Science, that something closer to the grab bag approach that I adore returns to the show. It feels criminal to say this about something that includes it happening one night, but I tend to find season 6 to be the weakest season outside of the first. With all that said, your weekly analysis of these episodes did make me appreciate them more than I ever had, so my thanks for that. And then there's a postscript. On a fifth season commentary track, Doc Hammer offhandedly mentioned wanting to see a breakdown of how frequently each character appears across the series. A year of being quarantined was just enough time to make this idea seem like it was deeply important to pursue. Doc Hammer might never see the results of his extemporaneous request, but maybe you or your listeners will find some use. Here. And there's a link to a Google spreadsheet, very well formatted, and very thorough.
Yeah. I'm really curious about this because it has Vendetta Blue Morpho being mentioned or referenced in Dia de los Dangerous.
Oh.
I don't remember. I don't know if I remember that. I have to take a look.
Huh.
Yeah. Pretty neat. Like this is a cool document.
Yeah. I'll put a link to this in the show notes.
Yeah, very cool.
It's just on Google Docs, so it's not going to throttle any. Yeah, that should be fine. Although I would make it. Can I edit this? No, I cannot. Okay, very good. It's view only.
Yeah, perfect. I think that the Monster of the Week flavor you get from the new villains in season 6, but I agree that we lose some of that freewheeling spirit with the Blue Morpho.
Yeah.
Through line.
Yeah.
And it's really the only through line. Like the Venture Brothers side of things, they moved to New York, but they don't have a macro plot. Like Rusty is doing R&D for a couple episodes this season, but he does not have a long running plot this season.
No.
Or anything. It's really the Monarch is the going through, and Rusty just kind of batting away a series of villainous flies.
Yeah.
Here. So yeah, I can see what you mean, even though I think that like just the jokes and that gang of kooky creeps, gremlins and stuff that he fight do a lot of work.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be down to individual taste, whether, the deviation from the thing that you associate with the show is worth going to something that works on its own merits, but is different from what you're here for. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks everybody for writing in. We appreciate you. We'll definitely end up doing a grand show and season 7 wrap up episode after the movie. When the movie comes out, we'll probably do any movie thoughts in that same episode or two when we bring it back. Yeah. So just to kind of set expectations. If you end up having things to say about that, we have things to say about season 7. There will be an opportunity for such.
So yeah, as you're listening to season 7, and if you have thoughts, you want to write in to get in on that wrap up, you can just go to Duckfeed.tv/contact and use the orb button, and those will go to the proper place.
Indeed. Let's first it and worst it.
First and worst. I always forget what we start with. Do we start with worst?
I don't remember, but I don't think it matters.
Okay.
Follow your heart. What do you think?
Okay, let's do worst first.
Okay.
Yeah. So worst is tough, but I think that it comes down to probably somewhere between Faking Miracles and Rapacity and Blue. I don't think that like a lot of cool stuff happens in those actually.
Yeah, I was going to say Rapacity and Blue because I don't remember very much about it.
Yeah.
Part of it is just the, this is the God Gas one, which I thought the Faking Miracles one is, but that's the Science Slime.
Yes. Yeah.
One. Maybe it's the Science Slime one for me, but it's definitely between these two.
Yeah. Faking Miracles has the what lifts that up a little bit for me. It has the copycat stuff.
Yes, yeah.
No, like Rapacity and Blue. The just kind of like very little is moved forward. You know, there's like a little bit of that, like it's the God gas, which is, you know, them panicking, but like in the absence of an actual story arc about the way that Rusty is running Ventec into the ground, you know, like, hey, we have this conference coming up in 3 weeks. We need something big.
Yeah.
You know, kind of just turns the God gas into like, okay, here's our gimmick for the episode.
And the God gas is a little bit annoying.
Yeah.
You know, to me, I basically agree with that. I have to give special honorary demerits to Red Mean Stop though, for being bifurcated.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Anything that's in the Saw section, I think literally is garbage and should have been jettisoned. And we spend a lot of time with it.
Yeah.
I think that has no value.
Yeah.
You know, the Red Mantle stuff is good. The end with the you know, volleyball in the pool, that's real cute. The two snipers, you know, the guild and the OSI snipers and stuff, all very good. Everything with that Saw parody is just garbage.
Agreed.
It's some of the worst content I think they made on the show. I really hate it.
Yeah.
I hate what it does to 21's arc. I hate the lack of jokes during it. I hate how dated it feels. You know, everything about it I hate.
I agree.
Yeah. That's the worst storyline, if not the worst episode.
Yeah.
In the season, I think. And then my first is very easily It Happening One Night.
Yeah, without question, it's one of the best episodes of the series.
Yeah, because both halves of it's got an A and a B plot, both of which are firing on all cylinders. The Doom Factory is super fun. All of the stuff with Hank and Serena is very cute. The Ninja Restaurant is really good. I like Brock and Rocco. That's a great episode.
Yeah,
great episode of the show.
Agreed. Yeah.
And then honorable mention on that, if I had to do, I might do a wild card and say maybe no go.
Yeah, that would be my fallback.
Yeah, which is real cute. You get that title sequence for Billy Quizboy and the Pink Pilgrim and stuff. That's real fun.
Yeah. So, agreed.
A pretty high batting average for me for this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like mostly, it gets hard to. It really does get hard to like make a declaration about in any individual episode because you know because of the way this season is structured, where each episode checks in on so many different things at different times. You know, kind of to Andrew's point, right? Like,
yeah,
you know,
they're less demarcated.
Yes,
than they could be. It's gonna be real weird for season 7 where they switch to the Big Bang Theory titling.
I know, right?
Generally, and I don't know what any of that shit means. Like, I can't associate the titles with a thing that happens.
Nope,
because they're garbage titles. Other than Arrears in Science, which is great.
Yeah,
that's like a real cute little reference. That's the perfect title. All the rest of the titles are garbage.
Yes,
the Rockreel Affair.
The Rockreel Affair. Off. No, thank you.
Yeah, don't do that. So that'll be a tricky first and worst. But, we'll be coming back with the beginning of season 7 next week. Until then, we appreciate you. Thank you for listening. If you like this show and would like to support us and get bonus shows, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv.
Yeah. You can also leave a rating or review and tell your friends. You know how to help out podcasts. We say it every episode, but honestly, it all does make a difference. I can be dismissive and say like, yeah, no, you know what to do, but like all of it does help.
It does help. And if this is somehow your first podcast,
welcome.
We're not actually in the room with you. So it might seem like it because we're talking in your ears, but we actually recorded this a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. You can stop ripping up the
Notebook. Like it's like that.
Oh. What do you mean? By the Notebook, do you mean the lake house?
Yes.
Okay.
I was going to correct myself, but instead of correcting myself with the right thing, I was going to correct myself with the time traveler's wife.
Okay.
Yeah. The Notebook isn't magic. I forgot about the Notebook. I don't. It's not a time notebook.
No. I mean, it depends on what you think about dementia.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Generally Pro.
Oh.
Yeah. I guess every notebook is kind of a time notebook because you write something in and then later read it.
Yeah. Well, except for this one notebook. Check SCP entry number 42069.
Yeah. The notebook that goes backwards.
Yeah. Called it's Merlin ruled.
Yeah. If it's written by Benjamin Button.
We need to stop.
Yeah, no. Yeah, we do, because I have stuff to do today after we record. Good night, everybody. We appreciate you.
Good night.
And until next time,
Go Team Venture.